Hello, this is Dragon Ball Super Review 123. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. We open up on Vegeta still on the ground, Goku looking shocked, Jiren still looking unreasonable. He turns away, notes Vegeta as a warrior, tells him to go to sleep. And this seems to piss Vegeta off, make Universe 11 chuckle. And there was a funny little moment with the Omni Kings impersonating June, which I found kind of cute. So at least they're doing something apart from repeating each other. Dispo is still throwing Frieza around, and he soon finds out that Frieza's just been not really getting that much damage from it, which kind of shocks Dispo. But we also still see that Frieza still can't hit him. He's still too fast. He's not that powerful when it comes to punching, but he's still faster than what Frieza can do anything in his current state. So he's hoping he goes gold soon. And then we transition back to the fight with Goku and Jiren for a moment before it switches over to Gohan 17's fight with Turbo. 17 wants to, well, they seem like they're working together, but they're not really working together that well since they've barely met each other. They've only just kind of met, if I think about it right, that this is the first time that these two have ever actually met face to face. And so they don't really have that much experience with each other underneath the belt, so it's not really aiding them. And so 17 suggests that they just work together, but not try to work as together. And so he comes up with a plan. And the plan is to immobilize Turbo and then have Gohan knock them both off. So at least they're left with one afterwards. And it seems like it's gonna work. He traps him and Turbo in his Omni Shield, and Gohan fires off a massive Kamehameha. And it seems like it's gonna work until Turbo just punches 17 and gets him to drop the shield. But at least they managed to avoid the worst case scenario of maybe only 17 getting knocked off and Turbo being fine. And so we cut back over to the fight with Goku and Jiren standing off. And Goku's kind of inching his way closer and closer to Jiren, trying to test how far he can get in. At least that's what everybody's saying. And that Piccolo notes that if he's not careful, Jiren will exploit any opening Goku gives. But then the same could be said for Goku. If he's able to create an opening, he can exploit it. So it's become a bit of a game of trying to create an opening rather than just throwing fists at each other and hoping to hit. So then Goku throws himself in and he starts using instant transmission, starts spamming it as much as he can. And I thought he was going to try and do a bit of, instant transmission, throw a hit, run away. But underneath that, he's laying down these key mines, which I found interesting. It's possibly one of Goku's few original techniques, unless he's stolen it from somebody else. And he starts laying them all around Jiren, and then gets further away, and there's teasing Jiren to come to him, and Jiren does, and then instantly steps on a mine, and then these things are a lot more powerful than they look. Like they're just about yay big, and they just boom. It's like packing so much more power than I thought they would. I wonder if they're like tiny little focused Kamehamehas. And when I first saw this scene, I was thinking to myself, was this when I first saw it in the previews? I was thinking, is it just a case of, is this like another thing of Ultra Instinct, or was it like one of Jiren's powers? Like one of his hidden powers, and Goku's just now been able to kind of see it. But no, it was Goku laying down a minefield, which is good strategy, trying to get himself an opening. But it doesn't work as Jiren has jumped up high into the air, and so Goku pulls out a freaking Destructo disc. Like, Jesus Christ, Goku, quit stealing techniques. And he even goes a step further, where he's actually also copied Krillin's new technique of multiple Destructo discs. It doesn't work on Jiren. He's able to break them. He never goes for the edge. He always goes for like the flat areas, because maybe that's meaning that not even Jiren could actually hit them edge first and still just break them. And then he catches one of them and just throws it right back, and then cuts the plateau that Goku's standing on in half, and it falls and becomes like a plank over the edge of the ring, and then there's just him and Jiren just fighting on top of it. And Jiren gets the upper hands, able to lay in it like a punch so hard it freaking ripples the air. But then Goku, he also he charges up his fists, and he's like, Jesus Christ, he's coated his fist in energy, which is never a good thing when anyone does that. But before he can even hit Goku with it, it turns out that last Destructo disc, Goku had been secretly manipulating it, and just slices the plank up. And then Jiren switches over and tries to blast Goku, but Goku had already teleported and knocked him down. And you know Jiren's not going to get knocked out. I mean, it's not really a very suspenseful moment if you watch the preview and you see that Jiren is still around even past that point. I mean, it was kind of not really great tension when you know that he's going to get back up and he ain't going to be down there for long. Which he isn't. He's pulls out an aura and he starts skipping between the rocks, or the debris, and is able to get right back on the ring. But it was hilarious for a moment seeing Belmod and his Kai completely freaking out over the potential loss of Jiren. And when he returns, he's going back to Goku and Vegeta, and he's aware that the mines are there, but he's at that point just decides he's going to walk through them. He's just tanking his way through the minefield. And Vegeta's all like, what a freaking beast he is. Like, he just nothing can seem to harm him, exhaust him, and even if you catch him off guard, you're going to pay for it a moment later. And so we have Goku and Jiren about to face off again. Well, they do. They face off. And it's just like, they fight each other again and again and again. Until eventually Jiren overpowers him once more, punches him away, and then hits the rock behind him and just instantly craters it. But then he grabs Goku when Goku tries to come up behind him and kick him, and then just slams him into the ground. And lets him get his bearings for a little second before he just takes a stand, fixes himself to the ground, and then tries off that energy fist that he never got the chance to shoot off. And then he shoots off this time, and it's so powerful that it just goes through everything in its path. And it's apparently so powerful and so terrifying that it just scares Goku out of Super Saiyan Blue. Not even knocks him out of it, just terrifies him out of it. And the Kai and Belmont note this as just being a simple punch from Jiren, which I find kind of weird. This is suggesting that Jiren's so full of energy that once he powers himself up enough, even just throwing a punch, he's throwing off an energy beam. Kind of makes you wonder a little bit more about Jiren. And so Vegeta returns to the fight. He's found his way back onto his feet finally. And then you get this cool scene of just him and Goku powering up. And I was heavily reminded of the movie Revenge of Cooler. But these two were just powering up to Super Saiyan, about to take on this one foe that they just can't take alone. And if it does play out more like that, then you can expect an army of G-Rens. So they're powering up as high as they can. Goku breaks out his Kaioken, and Vegeta starts focusing, starts going into a new state of power, you know. Then he remembers back to the promise he made with Kaba, and he swears that he will keep it. So his form is glowing, his tones of blue are shifting, his eyes are shining. The energy around him is taking a different shape and getting darker. And then when he finally does complete it, he's in this. It gets noted by a few of the audience members. Like the GP says he's focusing his energy into a new state, he's breaking through his shell. And Krillin notes this as being like Vegeta's finally broken through his limit. This is his limit breaker, which is interesting. So, does this mean this form isn't complete blue, or it isn't Super Saiyan Blue 2, but it can be called Limit Breaker Blue? Uh, I saw someone call it, kind of said it reminded them a lot of Super Vegeta from the Cell Saga. And I can see it because it does seem like Vegeta's a lot more bulkier now, at least a bit more. So it's kind of like, is this like the same as when he first started trying to master Super Saiyan to a new level, that he's now started to like swell the power up? Like this is like that state between complete blue and base, and well, between complete Super Saiyan and basic Super Saiyan. Like this is the halfway point that he's reached now. He's been able to gain more from it now. He's began to master it. Whereas Goku's been stacking Kaioken on top of it, he's beginning to master it. Because if it is true, if he's at like essentially the super Vegeta state of his Super Saiyan Blue, then that means he could take it to the complete. There's still another distance to go before it's finally complete. Which this could be Super's way of fixing, or at least rekindling Super Saiyan Blue, because it has been heavily worn out. But this could bring it back, you know, revealing to us that it hasn't been completed yet. There's still more with it. It isn't a complete form yet, which could also open the door towards Super Saiyan Blue 2, which I don't know if that's something that's needed now that we've got Ultra Instinct. Just a thought. And so then Goku and Vegeta begin fighting G-Ren together. And they're actually being able to catch G-Ren off guard. Like he's having a difficult time dealing with them. I mean, they're not really seeming to be damaging him. He does know that their attacks are a bit more sharper now. So I don't know if these punches are really like actual punches for him, or if it's still like being hit by a toddler. But Whis does note that they're fighting together, but they're not working together, which is maybe what's throwing Jiren off. Because maybe he's used to fighting true teams of people who are really well coordinated with each other, to the point that that having two very powerful foes who aren't really working together but still coming out at the same time is a little bit difficult. You can't really predict the next logical point of attack, since it's not really logical and it's not really very choreographed well. And so he's just having a bit of a tough time with them. And but when they do start to come on him a bit overwhelming, he throws off those simple punches of his, knocks them away, and Vegeta charges up with quite a big energy blast. But then Jiren just kind of like jabs his way through it. But then we agree to this cool scene of Limit Breaker Blue, Vegeta and Kaioken Blue, Goku standing side by side, which is pretty cool. And now with there being this new state of power, I kind of I'm wondering how the fight's going to play out now. Now that you got them in these new states of power, Goku's still not at full power, since he's still, at any moment, could go back into Ultra Instinct, which they did tease. They definitely teased that when Jiren had hit him with those massive amount of blows, and he's just standing there like thinking at any moment he's going to lift up his head, and his eyes are going to be silver, and he's going to have that ghostly aura around him once more. Anyway, I guess onto a bit of speculation. Dispo's true power, if you've seen the preview, seems to recommend that he's been holding back. Though when I did see that preview, I wondered to myself, where the hell is Topo? Has Gohan just left Topo to fight? Has just left 17 to fight Topo on his own? Or does Topo get like knocked out and then he's like, because if it does turn out next episode that Topo's been like cheap shotted out, I'm going to be really disappointed. So in Dispo's true power, it seems like he's either one, he's unlocked new power. Two, he's showing us his true power. Because it seems like his true power is enough to have Frieza going to gold, and Gohan joining him to take this, what seems to be this monster on. And I don't really know, because it doesn't seem like Dispo's blows have much impact. Though he does seems to have shown off this technique where he like forms a halo and just, I don't know if that's similar to a Destructo Disc or perhaps Gotenk's halo attack where he's able to bind somebody. But if Dispo can't do much damage in a single hit, maybe he could do DPS. He can like do a bunch of damage per second. So there's maybe that potential. Like maybe he's not someone who lays on a single strong blow, but lays on a number of them. Because after what he did to Frieza, he's probably going to have to go down that route. Because even after throwing Frieza through a bunch of this catchy, I don't know how, it did nothing to him. He was absolutely fine. And then and moving on to Jiren's true power. Apparently now he's now in a state of power he hasn't been in, or that is, well, Belmont has not felt in a while. But it's still getting noticed that he's starting to show off a bit of his true power. So if we take it by that word and he's just showing off a bit of it, then I don't see Goku or Vegeta being able to beat him. Unless Goku can go into Ultra Instinct and Vegeta can maintain this power or even refine it further through the fight, then it's not going to do much. Like unless Jiren can be cheap shotted off, there's no way to beat him, as far as I can see. Which may not be a bad thing if Jiren wins, because he's not a villain. He's a hero. Doesn't smile a lot, but he's not really a bad guy. And yeah, moving on to Vegeta's new power. The notable things about his new appearance is his eyes up heavily, and his aura and the tone of blue he now has. Like his eyes, they seem a lot. They have showings of an iris. His aura has more of these white energy particles in them, thicker than Goku's, and a darker looking aura. Like it's a lot more thicker and potent. which all of it is like totally Dragon Ball. It's like it's a simple transformation. Darker, eyes are a bit more defined, and some I guess this takes the place of kind of like lightning. These are energy particles. If I were to rate this episode, I'd say yeah, it's pretty damn good. The animation is it's not as great as last week, but it's still pretty solid. But it's a lot more heavy on the narrative, like especially when it comes to Vegeta again, like him reminding himself of his promise to Kaba, learning a bit more about Jiren, 17 and Gohan teaming up a little bit. The Omni Kings doing something a bit more funny rather than just being constantly annoying, and showing of new powers and the stakes finally being raised a little bit now that Goku was pulling out his Kaioken, and Vegeta's starting to gain his own thing. Not to say that this power that Vegeta has shown off could not be attained by Goku, because it doesn't seem like it's like the theories being thrown around of a royal transformation, which I don't really agree with, because it seems like it was always this is just a refined version of Super Saiyan Blue, or at least Super Saiyan Blue to the next level. And it seems like it might be something that Goku could attain. Whether or not he could attain that and then stack Kaioken on top of it again is yet to be seen. But yeah, I'd say this episode's pretty damn solid still. It's kept me interested. Animation's pretty damn good. Goku's strategy is honestly some of the pretty damn great. Even though he stole Krillin's Destructo Disc, which, Jesus Christ, Goku, quit stealing techniques. Anyway, I think I'll cut it off here. Yep. Oh yeah, it's like what? It's like 7 minutes left until the end of the tournament. Who knows what else could happen?